Hello. I am Rebecca Pan, host of Badass Women in Climate, and today we are filming our 5th Badass Women in Climate episode, and I am so excited to introduce Megan White. She is a mom, an author, a board member, a sustainability consultant, and just a total badass. Her energy is just the brightest energy of maybe anybody I've ever met, and I'm so thrilled that she's here today. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, first question: how do we know each other? And following up on that, how did you get into climate support?
Okay. I think our origin story is kind of interesting because although I think we were just introduced about a year ago and there was an event that was being hosted here and I was a panelist. I've been to this space many years prior to that when you were originally founding Trellis, previously Covo.
Really?
I came into this building as part of a team to evaluate before all the construction was done.
I don't think I knew that. Did I know that? Was I drunk when you told me?
You might have been drunk. You might have been drunk. We talked about it briefly, but I came through this space before you guys purchased it with Billy.
Oh my God.
And Billy and I and Kevin Hides, the founder of Integral, which we'll get to that part of the story, and another dear friend of mine, Eric, who's an engineer, and I think even Andrea Traber, we all came into this space, looked at it, and been like, will this make a good space? What do you need to do from an HVAC perspective, from a lighting perspective? How do you make this as sustainable as possible? That, I think, actually has to be part of our origin story, even though we didn't know each other or were introduced at that point.
Yeah, I do not remember meeting you way back then. Did we meet?
I don't think we met. I think I was just with Billy and Kyle.
How are you here without me?
I don't know. That's a great question. Maybe you were, and I can't recall that part of the story.
No,
but
I would have remembered you.
What we do know is that we officially met about a year ago.
Yeah.
For that event.
When you were on stage.
When I was on stage with USGBC talking about equity in the built environment.
Yeah.
And we were introduced, and it was love at first sight.
It really was.
And now you can't get rid of me, girl.
Oh, my God. I want more of you.
Okay.
And tell me how you first got into climate. Have you always been in this regenerative world?
Which part of the story do I want to tell? No. So the original story, I think that I didn't know I wanted to get into this space, but I was influenced, was early on in high school. I had a couple of teachers. I was naturally gravitated towards the sciences. In probably my freshman year, there was a high school teacher named Gary Glick, and he taught earth sciences. And I was like, the phases of the moon, and like how you understand the depths of the ocean and how the earth functions and things of that nature. And I just was naturally talented then and loved it. And then I took an environmental science class. And I remember, I'm forgetting my teacher's name at this moment, apologize, but I remember her talking about, if you ever start doing a career in environmental science, I just want you to know that you need to be aware of the anxiety and depression that come along with it.
Ooh.
And I'll never forget
in high
that.
school.
High school, I think 10th grade, 11th grade. But
can you say that sentence again? I want to take it in more.
If you want to take a path of a career in environmental science, you have to understand that anxiety and depression are going to come along with it.
Wow.
It was that big that I'll never forget it.
I
that
have
moment.
chills.
I know the room that I was in. Like, I can like feel that moment. And then I kept going back to her, and I took all of her courses in biology and chemistry and all the things, and I ended up thinking I wanted to choose a path of becoming a doctor. So I went to school at Boston University, and I grew up in Portland, Maine, by the way, outside of Portland, Maine, and I went to school in Boston, pursued a medical degree, and I was weeded out of the medical program pretty quick. It was hard at BU. but I took a course in Earth Science Geology 101. And again, I found myself sitting at the front of the room and just, I got it. It was natural. And the professor came to me, and I was acing every single test. And she said, you need to major in this.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not going to make any money doing environmental science. You know, like that was my response. I'm going to be a doctor. You know, the things that we're like told to do as you know, rising young adults. But then the summer after my freshman year of college, my mom was like, hey, there's this program in Guatemala. And I know you said that you want to travel the world. I hadn't really been outside of the U.S. other than Canada, right? I hadn't seen the world yet. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to go somewhere and do something. And she's like, hey, you can go do this volunteer program in Guatemala. And you're going to work with the children that live among the garbage dump of Guatemala City. And my Spanish was weak, but I was like, I get to go somewhere and do something. And I went. And I even had to ask my teachers and my professors, I said, I'm going to be late to getting back to school my sophomore year because I need to do this extended program. And when I was down there and I was among the garbage dump, and I went in and I toured it, and I saw methane plumes happening real time. And I had learned about these in my courses and classes and understood that methane was 100 times worse than CO2 emissions. And I started to understand the basis of global warming and climate change. And then to see it firsthand and to see the trash and to see the implications on the community that lives among this region. This is an open air landfill, which are very rare in the world today, but exist in a lot of these underdeveloped countries. Everything changed for me. I came back and I went to that professor that came up to me and I said, what does it take to change my major? And that was the moment.
Wow.
And then everything just lined from there. I shifted. I started thriving in school rather than trying to survive. And I just knew that this is the direction I wanted to go and figured out from there how to pursue a career. But I feel really grateful that I had that realization so young. And
yeah.
I know that that's not typical. But for me, there was something about early on a feeling of feeling courageous and a listening inside the body to like, there's a sign that's presenting itself, and rather than fighting it, to follow it.
That is incredible. I feel like that is the sort of discovery that I have begun to have in my 40s.
Yeah.
And to have that in college and even younger and be able to like feel your insides.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, I really wish there was a lot more around emotional intelligence taught in school.
Yeah.
Effective communication.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think math, science, reading,
awesome,
and writing,
right?
Awesome,
and
so limited.
Yep. I agree.
I'm really interested in what your teacher said about if you go into environmental science, there will be anxiety and depression that come along with that. Is that
truth? So
how has that? I know you have burnout.
Yeah.
You have burnout as part of your story.
Sure. Yep. But anxiety and depression are very much a part of that story too. Yeah. I first started to battle anxiety and depression in high school. Like many high schoolers. We were just having a side chat about just like how challenging middle school is and even high school and these things. And it really started to show itself in high school, not related to the environment, just related to being a high schooler, right? Mm-hmm. I was under a lot of pressure also. I was a high-performing athlete. I ended up going to college on a full scholarship.
For what?
For springboard diving.
Wow.
And so there was a lot of pressure to perform. This constant, I was a gymnast first, then a diver. My whole life I was graded on a scale of 1 to 10. Right? In a very like individual performance, public eye kind of standpoint. And so I think just a lot of that pressure and not knowing how to manage that pressure and not having all the skill sets, it started to manifest. And what I later found out was anxiety and depression. And I didn't know it at the time, right? But the only thing that the doctors knew how to do was prescribe.
Yep.
So I was put on medication to manage these symptoms very young. And then was constantly rotated on, this medication's working, then it's not working. Let's try something different. Let's up the dose. Let's constantly change it. That was from 16 until 28 years old.
Wow.
And pretty heavily medicated at certain points, where I felt numb and turned off. And so that was a part of it. And so coming, out of BU, I graduated from BU, and then we can talk about the whole, decision to come across the country to San Francisco and pursue a career in green building. But all along the way was navigating anxiety and depression behind the scenes, which most people don't know that part of my story, because I was so good at putting on a happy face.
Yep.
As a performer. And I was so good at mustering the strength to persevere. And just constantly on the go.
I'm like, I'm getting a little bit teary because I really empathize and mirror a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's really hard, especially when you know what it looks like to be the happy, smiling, high-performing, not complaining, getting all your shit done
But then behind
person,
closed doors.
And you can fake it.
Yep. Fake it
But
till you make it. And then
But you're losing connection to your insides.
That's right. So 28 years old was a big turning point for me.
So 28, let me think. Okay.
I know we're bouncing around.
You started... So something that I think is amazing about your story is that when you started working at WebCore...
22 years old, right
22,
out of college. Yep.
You were hired as a receptionist and were promoted 5 times in 5.7 years. Is that right?
Something like that. Yeah.
And ended your tenure there as sustainability manager. And and I know you were a part of Toastmasters and learned how to present and connect with authority. And that is such a meteoric rise. And I also understand that led to burnout.
Yeah.
So that was when you were 28. So
that's that period of time. Yeah.
So you were just like, I'm doing it. I'm rising in the ranks. I'm getting promoted. All the things. And behind the scenes, you're like falling apart.
Yeah. That's right. It was, to come out to, first of all, to come to California, like when I had been leaving college, I came to the realization, I merged environmental science with art history of architecture and found this green building movement. I got introduced to the USGBC and LEED, and I had a professor who was like, there's this thing called LEED, and I don't know what it is. Could you study it so that I can learn it? That's how it happened. And
can you speak the acronym, like U.S. Green Building Council?
Yes, U.S. Green Building Council
LEED
is the USGBC, who founded the LEED certification, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And it's the certification for buildings to say, are they green or not?
Right.
Right? And to what level of green are they? So that was kind of like how the movement started. And I want to say thank you so much to the founders of that, who are here, Bay Area, San Francisco people that are my mentors.
Yes.
David Gottfried, who's the founder and godfather of USGBC and LEED, and Lynn Simon, who is employee number 1, who's been one of my diehard mentors. Kevin Hides, who I'll talk about more in a moment, who's the movement of the deep green engineering movement. Andrea Traber, who's one of those early mover and shakers. Those are the legends that I got to learn from and are the creators of this huge movement that's a massive global movement.
It's so cool.
I'm so fortunate. But it was happening here. That's why I came here. Because everything was pointing, if you want to be in this, come to San Francisco. So I jumped in a car with a friend, drove cross country. About 3 weeks, we took an adventure. This is before we had GPS. We were using an atlas. Remember it? Big atlas.
Wow.
To get across the whole country. Camped out, like the whole 9 yards, right? 22. Finally got here. There's the whole story to that adventure. But I got here, and day one, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the library, and I got to do research. I don't even know where to have a job. I had nothing lined up. My mom's like, you're crazy, but I'm doing it. So I went to the library, and I was like, okay, green building. Where do I start? Oh, okay, there's an architect, and there's an engineer, and there's a contractor. Okay. All right, what do I want to do, you know? And I was like, hey, there's that thing called USGBC, and like, let me go look at the local chapter. And I go to the chapter website, and there on the front page is WebCore Builders, platinum sponsor. Well, if they're the platinum sponsor of this movement, that sounds like a good place to start. So I go to WebCore's website, and they're building the California Academy of Science.
Oh, wow.
And for those that don't know, the California Academy of Science, look it up. But it's Renzo Piano, one of the most famous architects, and it's known for this beautiful green roof, is covered in vegetation, and inside of it, it has these like butterfly gardens and indoor rainforests and planetary and
an albino
alligator
named Claude.
That's right. And it was LEED Platinum. And I was like, if WebCore's building it, that's where I want to go. And I look on their website, and they had an opening for the receptionist.
Wow.
And I said, I can do that. I am fresh and new to this huge city. I know nobody. I know nothing. I don't know where I'm going to live. Yeah, I can do that. And I apply. And this is like day one of getting here. Day one, I arrive. Day two, I go to the library, and I apply. Day three, I got the phone call. Would you like to have an interview?
Wow.
I can come tomorrow. Day four, I interview. Day after, day five, they offered me the job. But at the interview, they said, you seem very overqualified to be a receptionist. And I told them, I said, look, I don't know anyone. I don't know anything. I don't know. Give me something that I can just do, and I will learn. But I want to be on your sustainability team. That's my goal. And they brought in Phil Williams, another legend to my story and mentor, forgot to mention. And Phil comes into my interview, and he said, look, I don't have a spot on my sustainability team right now, but I should in about 6 months. Can you commit to 6 months at the front desk? And I said, yes. And so like my thing to people that are looking to break into the industry is constantly do not feel like a position is below you. Because getting your foot in the door at the right place is the most important thing, because when that opportunity opens up, you're going to be the first one there to get that position.
That is
they would
really
so
great
much rather
advice.
hire internally because they already know you, they already trust you.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to just move someone up than to actually go out and hire externally.
Yeah.
And so
that's usually my last question. What would you tell people that want to get into it?
Every single
that's
time.
Great advice.
Come in with a position and then work your way up. And that's what I did. I just started working my way up constantly. Now, part of that story that you're referring to is that's how I started receptionist. That was 2007, 6 months. And then I got into the sustainability team. That's 2008. And then the economy crashed.
Right.
And so what started to happen, our industry in real estate got hit so hard. Contractors and architect teams, both of them probably cut almost 50% of the staff. It was massive.
Yeah.
It was
I remember.
brutal. And so what happened is my team that had many individuals, it was like the sustainability manager got cut. And then an engineer got cut. I happened to be the lowest paid person. And so I was kind of in a position of that was a bit more safe. And so I stayed. I just happened to be lucky. Really fortunate. And it also was stressful because now I was the only one left and had to manage still all the work and the projects that were still on there. But I just said, I'll figure it out. I'll do it. I will learn. I dug in. And then as the economy started to come back and projects started to come back, more and more projects came onto my list. And I started to rise with that. So that's kind of how my rise happened.
Yeah.
But you can imagine that's how the burnout happened also.
Yeah. Because you felt like everything's on your shoulders and there's nobody else to do it.
And that's when...
Were you able to grow a team at the time?
I was able to start to grow a team. I started to hire support staff. You know, I think the big realization, the most important part of that burnout story, is that, you know, when I went to my doctor and I was like, these are the symptoms I'm having, this is what's going on. And he was like, it's called burnout. You need to take a break. And I was like, no way. Like, I can't, I'm going to ruin my career. I can't take a break. And I went back a little bit later and he was like, you now that instead of 1 month off, you need 2 months off. It's getting worse. And I said, you're crazy. I can't do that. And I left and I came back again and I was like, now I'm even worse, like physical symptoms. And he's like, you now need 3 months off. And if you don't go yourself, I feel like I'm going to like hold your hand, walk across the street and go tell your boss, like, this is bad. You need a break. And I said, okay, I'm listening now because there's no other option. And so I went to my boss and I said, you know, I need to take a break. And he's like, no questions asked. Just as of right now, just go pack up. You're just going to be fine. You got to do what you need to do.
That is a fantastic response.
Yeah. And the doctor...
I wonder how many people have had that meeting where that's the way it's gone. I'd be curious.
Phil is an angel and a legend, and like, I was just, I couldn't imagine a better response from a boss.
No.
So supportive.
It's a response you would hope every boss
1,000%
would.
I was so fortunate. So fortunate to have him. And through that 3 months off, the doctor, first of all, wrote on a prescription pad. He said, this is what you're going to do. Every day, I want you to go sit in a cafe, journal, read a book, get your feet in the grass, and go to yoga. And I just did it. I took it serious, and I did it day after day after day. This cafe was like, who is this person that comes every day? He sits there in the corner, cries as I'm writing, you know. But you know what I went through? Have you heard of the grieving you? There's like the classic, I'm going to butcher
like the 5 stages of grieving?
Yes.
Yep.
I went through that, and my doctor told me I would. He's like, you're going to go through a period of deep anger.
What is it? Denial?
That's right.
Anger, sadness, acceptance.
Breakthrough or something,
What's the 5th
realization.
one?
I can't remember, but yeah. He goes, you're going to go through this. And I did. At the beginning, I was putting blame on everybody else outside of me for that burnout experience.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure was being put on me. I was being told I had to take on too many projects. It was pointing fingers outward. And by the end of that 3 months, I finally came to the realization that nobody was putting that pressure on me. I was putting that pressure on myself. This need to like climb or be seen or succeed. Like, is it to be seen by my parents? Is it to be seen by myself? Is it seen by my peers? I don't really know. But I finally got to that place after like unwinding so much to a place of acceptance of how much I put that pressure on myself. And that really, that's not coming from outside me, which, you know, I think that's a huge breakthrough, because then I was able to change how I was going to move forward. And at that point, I was super committed to work-life balance. And that opened the door to the shift that I had on how I was going to move forward from that point on.
And what did you do?
Well, I came to a realization that my time, I think, at WebCore and in a contractor seat was coming to a close. It's very interesting to be, especially a woman working in a very male-dominated space, and not just as a woman in a male-dominated space, but a woman in sustainability in a male-dominated space. I wasn't able to be my true, authentic self.
I cannot imagine what that must have looked like for you, because you are so in touch with you're just 100% Megan White.
Yeah, and I think that's where I put on one mask and one face at work. And then I would just like, once work was done, I had to go blow off steam. I mean, I was a 20-year-old in San Francisco. Let me tell you, I ran around this town. I had a good time. San Francisco's a good place to have a good time.
Yeah.
But I had
And coming from Maine, it must have been like...
Oh, it's a playground, right?
Yeah.
Is this not a playground?
Oh,
Especially in
fuck
your
yeah.
20s?
It's wild. I love it here.
I had a good time. But it just spoke to how disconnected I was from being able to be that true self 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And there was such a, I don't know if it's a polarity, but it was just like this person by day and this person by night, and neither one felt authentic and true.
Mm.
So when I realized it was time to go, beautiful part of the story is, I came to Phil and I said, Phil, I could just feel a shift. There's some change. I think change is necessary. We talked about it. And he said, okay, well, where would you like to go? What's your dream? Like, where would you want to go? And we did this thing. He said, write down on a piece of paper your top 3 places. And then he wrote down the top 3 that he would like me to go. And we both at the same time turned the papers over. We had the exact same 3 in the exact same order.
Wow.
And he said, well, let's start with number 1.
What an inspiring boss.
Right?
I feel like I'm learning how to be a better boss just by hearing what like an exceptional boss has provided.
He's amazing. And
you felt like you could come to him and not just be like,
many times.
I found a new job, I'm out. You could
I would
you
go
could
to
be
him and say, something doesn't feel right. And he would listen, And maybe the first time I said it, he was like, no, trying to talk me off the edge. And then he kind of came to me and was like, no, I think you're right. Like, I think it's time to spread the wings.
Wow.
Because I think he could tell. And that's just part of it, right? All we know, the only constant is change. And when we feel like we're like holding on for dear life to something and expecting that thing to change, but sometimes we just have to change the environment which we're in. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yep.
And it's actually really important because I was 7 years there.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful part of my chapter, the projects that I got to touch, the experience I gained. I'm so grateful for my foundation in construction. Because now where I'm at in my career, I have all that experience of actual built physical projects.
Yep.
Tangible things. And I can walk around this city and point to one project after another with so much passion and pride and with everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Gratitude that goes into it. Yeah.
So how did you get... So, what were the 3? And in what order?
Yep.
And then I forgot to introduce your company.
Yeah.
FireCrown.
How did I get to FireCrown? That's where I am today.
So, how did you get to FireCrown?
Okay, yeah. So at that point, number 1 on that list when we turned the papers over was Integral Group. And I thought it was so out of reach, but it was my dream. Integral was kind of known at the time in 2014 of like, this like, what are they doing? This like deep green engineering firm. And it was a dream. And I knew one of my mentors, Andrea Traber, went in to start the sustainable consulting group within the engineering firm. Mm-hmm. And I had access through her. But Phil was like, hey, I'll call Kevin Hides right now, the founder. And so Kevin's like, hey, if you're getting a recommendation from Phil Williams, who I respect and trust, let's meet. So we actually went, in classic Kevin fashion, my interview was at a pub.
I already know that.
Yeah.
I already know. No, I don't know that about you.
You know
I already
Kevin.
know to do that.
Yeah. You know to do it at a pub. Yeah, right?
That's my preferred location.
So we met at a pub. We had a conversation.
Love it.
It was just sparks going off, right? And with Andrea. And they were building this consulting group. And I was like, sustainability consultant number 2.
Awesome.
And we helped to grow it. By the time that I left, I was there for 10 years. The consulting group was globally over 100 people. And then the organization at the time when I joined was maybe 300, and it grew up to 1,200.
Wow.
So saw a lot of growth in that 10-year period. And when I joined, I was a sustainability consultant. And the difference when you go to the consulting side is like when you're with a contractor, you kind of come into projects once they're already designed. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's a little too late to influence. But when you're a consultant, you get in early enough to actually influence when it's critical. Like there's early things that need to happen in order to really manifest the deepest green sustainable projects.
Yeah.
Because you can miss the moment if you bring it in too late. So that's where I really wanted to go and why I made that direction. That journey at Integral, one of the biggest things I was grateful for is that I was able to be my true authentic self. It was a team, it was Oakland. We were downtown Oakland, gritty. The word was scrappy. I mean, I was wearing like crazy wild plants and like all the bright colors. My hair was dyed different colors. And, you know, it's just like this period of time where like all of a sudden I felt like my butterfly wings were opening up. And I found myself. And it was like this beautiful unraveling. And that was part of that, you know, to be at a place where you felt like you could be your full self. And so I was able to actually go on that journey to find who I truly was and that there wasn't a disconnect of by day by night.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And how did you... So I know you were like a very early advocate and champion for a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right. And that was coming out of the burnout story.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so if I would say I started that in 2016. Maybe I did a couple years at Integral, 5 days a week. And then I said, I still am battling this thing around work-life balance. Because when I work a 40-hour week, there's no way it's actually just 40 hours. It was always 48 to 50. And I have so much energy for not picking up on it. Like, a lot of energy all the time. I don't know how to give, like, not give 110%. I just don't know how. I have a lot of fire. And so in order to balance that and not burn out, I said, could I trial a 4-day work week? So working 80%, meaning I was also willing to take an 80% pay cut. Or 20% pay cut, 80% salary. And I started to do it. And it just freed up. It was like that 3-day work week. And I was doing it. And then in 2018, Kevin Hides came to me.
4-day.
Well, this is after I was doing 4 days a week for a couple of years. But then Kevin in 2018 came to me and said, hey, we went on a walk and talk around Oakland. Hey, I think we need a CSO, Chief Sustainability Officer. He's like, I'm the CEO. I've also been playing that role, but it's like about time that we have like a formal CSO. And I'm like, great idea. Who are you thinking? Ed? Chris? You know, like rattling off all the names. He's like, no, I'm thinking about you. And I just was like, I mean, I almost hit the ground. Like, what? No. Like, what? I mean, that's my dream, Kev. Like, that's what my goal was. But I figured by 40.
And you were?
30.
Cool.
And also, I'm like, 30-year-old on the senior leadership team of a global company. Like, I just was so intimidated by that. I also knew I was up for the challenge. But he said, do you think you could do it in a 4-day week? Should we reconsider that conversation? And I sat with myself and I said, you know what? Thank you for the opportunity. But if it means going back to 5 days, I'm not interested. And he said, well, then let's give it a try and see if you can do it in 4.
Ugh. Good boundary setting.
And I haven't turned back. I've been working 4-day work weeks ever since 2016.
Cheers. I love that. I love that.
No one else, what I've learned is that along the way, you have to hold that boundary for yourself. No one else is going to necessarily. There's times at which, like, yeah, I have to pick up a Friday every here and there, but I have to figure out, can I take some time off to balance that out? Or, like, I'm the one that gets to say yes or no. And so that's, like, a real big personal responsibility that comes along with that choice.
Yep.
But when it's maintained, I'm well-resourced. I'm more creative. The intuition is more engaged. the quality of work is higher. I think that the output, if it's 4 days or 5 days, is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of that output is better under 4.
Do you still earn 80%?
Yeah. So what I do is I know, like, based on where I'm at, I know what my value is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Important that we know our value. And then when I go in for negotiation, such as joining FireCrown or any other organization, I say, this is what my full 40-hour-a-week salary would be. But I'd like, to work 4 days. So I'd like to work 80% of that, 80% of the salary.
That's interesting. I understand, like, the rationale.
Yeah.
But you're also saying that you're delivering the same output.
Yeah.
So are you selling yourself short?
There's potential there. But I also think about it from an equity standpoint.
Yeah.
You
want it to be fair and not have people feel like you're taking advantage.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm also in a position of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a leadership position at this point in my career, that the impact of that choice doesn't, I don't feel it as much as if maybe I was earlier in my career.
Mm-hmm.
So just acknowledging that.
Yeah. And so when you were 30, CSO,
Yeah.
Chief Sustainability Officer,
Mm-hmm.
you just turned 40.
Yes, I did.
Welcome to the 40s.
My girlfriend said, welcome to the 4th floor. The view is fabulous up here.
Oh, I love that. Can I take that?
Yes.
What's your friend's name? I'll credit her.
Jasmine.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it?
Love 40s. So you had the dream job at 30.
Totally.
You are now 10 years later.
Yeah.
And you have this pretty new role
Mm-hmm.
and new baby
Mm-hmm.
and just
different
life.
Yep.
How do you think about your kind of like your arc?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was definitely a reckoning that happened. And it all kind of happened around that same time of becoming mother and stepping out of the role as CSO. Like, I achieved the dream, and then kind of the dream was, I don't say taken away from me, but there was a shift and a pivot. That was not necessarily my choice. And again, you could point fingers and say, this is happening to me. Or you could say, this is happening for me.
Love it.
And I don't think I liked it at the time. But what it helped me to do was, again, recognize there's an end to this chapter. And again, it's a time to spread my wings. Right? And I think with each of those defining moments, I sometimes like to phrase it as like the universe is asking us to level up. And so in closing that chapter, 10 years with Integral, which became Introba, and then I was doing a lot of work for the parent company and starting to lead ESG across a multi-brand organization, global organization, which was also a pivot out of like specifically green buildings into ESG, environmental, social, and governance, which is looking at sustainability and social equity and governance across organizations and companies and operations, which is related to the built environment, but expands much more beyond that, corporate sustainability. It was time to try something new after 10 years.
Yeah.
And I had a beautiful opportunity, loved it so much, to work with a tiny boutique firm. Like I was actually at dinner with a girlfriend at a conference, and I was like, I think it's time to go. And I was telling her the types of companies I was interviewing with, and they were all huge organizations. All the clients that I had been working with and that type of thing. She goes, why are you looking so big? I just picture you going boutique.
Interesting.
I was floored by that. I was like, why? Like, that had never crossed my mind. I figured at this point in my career, you know, the only way that I should elevate is like, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Bigger, bigger, more, more.
Right.
And she's like, I think that you'll find more happiness. Again, coming back to like being your most authentic self. Do you really think that you can be your authentic self in those big corporate organizations? Or if you go boutique, you can stay true to yourself, continue to work with those organizations, and drive impact. It just planted a seed. And then literally I came home from the conference, and this small boutique company was looking for their VP of operations. And I said, I love this organization. I love the founder. The company is called All About Waste, and really focused on the zero waste and circularity movement. And I've been coming, the conversation around circularity was so big for me in so many levels. Like knowing that that's the direction that I was being called into to focus. And I joined, and it was an amazing journey. A lot of light bulbs went off, including the book. But I joined that organization, was there for about 6 months. It wasn't quite the right fit for a multitude of reasons, but still to this day, absolutely adore Denise and everyone on that entire team. We still get to work with them as partners. But then Warren and FireCrown just kind of fell in my lap, like super unexpected. And I've known Warren, the founder, for 15 years, back to the WebCore days. He applied to join our team. He interviewed with Phil and I way back. And just have admired him ever since. He's an amazing human. And so he was hiring, and we weren't even like meeting for that purpose, but I was like, oh, you're hiring. Tell me more about it. And so the timing was just right. And joined. And so now we're working in partnership to grow this amazing firm. FireCrown, the name comes from a species of hummingbird that's from the Patagonia forest. And it's a keystone species. So if this hummingbird, the FireCrown hummingbird, was to be removed, the ecosystem would collapse.
Yep.
And so what we're doing is we're this like tiny little hummingbird going into these massive ecosystems, Fortune 500s. And essentially the thesis that Warren was working with is that if we need to address the climate crisis, we need to find the biggest levers possible and pull them as hard and fast as we can. And, we're developing what's our methodology to actually be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we truly believe we have the technological solutions to address the climate crisis. We know what they are. The ability to actually get them implemented, it's not a technology issue, it's a human issue.
Yep.
And so we have to really elevate the conversations around change management and human behavior and resistance to change in order to actually get the solutions to move forward. And working inside these organizations effectively on how to actually do that and how to communicate it, to storytell appropriately and create structures and have it be led by data to drive the conversation. And not doing it in a way that's like so much energy and money and resources are being focused on reporting, because that's what we're seeing in our industry right now, is like so much going towards reporting for reporting's sake. And really we need to pivot that and say, we know how to do this and get the right data for the reporting purposes, but we need to shift all of that energy towards action.
Yeah.
So
are you partnering with companies like Watershed?
We haven't partnered with Watershed, but I'm very familiar with Watershed, and they're an amazing organization that's growing rapidly. But we do have amazing partners, but a lot of those are these smaller other boutique firms that are the sustainability experts. It's been interesting just to witness and see a lot of the landscape right now. A lot of the companies that we've known have been kind of getting gobbled up through mergers and acquisitions. And what we don't want is to lose the heartbeat of this movement.
Right.
And the experts getting gobbled up into spaces and then just kind of greenwashed away.
Yep.
And so we believe that we still need these critical voices that are super hyper-focused on making sure that the action happens.
I love that. We have a new brand coming out called Earth Scale. The vision of which is to scale climate solutions. And I am in complete agreement. I think the technologies are there.
Yeah.
And the implementation is where
That's right.
a lot of companies, and also the life cycle of a company, getting from your first check or your first round of funding to your second round of funding. Obviously, getting from 0 to 1 is a big haul too.
Yeah.
But a lot of these companies are getting stuck
That's right.
going from their first round to their second round.
Yeah.
So how can we support them through that valley of death that is like part of the, kind of a business arc? We should talk more about that.
We should. We've talked about that as well. So let's definitely follow up on that point.
Awesome. And tell me about your book, Sacred and Circular.
Yeah, a little side project.
No, circular.
Sacred and Circular.
That's right? Okay.
That's right. You got it. Yeah. I mean, the name came to me in 2019. But I didn't know what to do with it. And I didn't know what it was. But when something hits and it feels big?
Yeah.
And I ideated on it and created some kind of, PowerPoint deck of inspiration. But it just got placed aside. I didn't know what it was. And then fast forward, and a lot of my career was moving from sustainability towards regenerative.
And I think it's a really important distinction.
Right?
We don't just want to survive.
It's not about sustaining. It's about regenerating, right?
Yep.
Because we can't, at the rate of where we're at today, we can't sustain at this. There's a lot of healing that needs to happen.
Well, sustainability and survival are closely related, whereas regeneration is how do we thrive and flourish.
Yes. So I'm grateful to the projects and the experiences and the people I've been able to collaborate with and learn from to get to that place. And we were starting to design projects that weren't just net zero, but net positive, the giving back, right?
Awesome.
And then my time with All About Waste, I think that actually is what really did it, is as I was starting to really unpack circularity and understanding the zero waste hierarchy of we need to move just from this idea of getting things out of a landfill and thinking about recycling as the solution, when actually the solution is create less waste in the first place, and doing that through redesigning. And really at the top of that pyramid, it's an inverted pyramid, is to do things fully regenerative.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that name Sacred and Circular hit me again, because what I realized is that in order to hit those upper levels on the zero waste hierarchy, you're going to have to confront our addiction to consumerism.
Yeah.
And consumption. And it made me think about, what do I know about addiction? And it brought me back, which we haven't talked about at all, but the other side to my life. I had my life in sustainability and everything I was doing here professionally. And outside of that space, I was on this deep journey spiritually. And that happened around that age of 28 years old, when the doctor said, you need to go to a yoga class every day.
Yeah.
And there was a studio here in San Francisco called Urban Flow. Were you around for the Urban Flow days?
I don't think so. Where was it? Where is it?
It was Mission and so close to where Van Ness and Mission would intersect in Valencia.
I would have been. I moved here in 2008, so I would have been here.
Yeah.
But I don't think I knew about it.
It was a hub in San Francisco. You go on Saturday and Sunday, it was church. It was 300 people packed into a room, like say
Wow.
sardines. And I'll never forget the first time I went. And this yoga class starts with 300 people singing and chanting. And I didn't know yoga like that, right? Kirtan. And I was like, what is going on? And what language are they speaking? And holy moly. And all I knew is I kept leaving every yoga class bawling, crying, and then feeling amazing.
Wow.
I was like, what is this? And I kept going back for more and like slowly starting to learn. And it was yoga that wasn't just the physical movement practice, like just going for the sweat. Although let me tell you, we sweat a lot. But it was the true alignment with the philosophy of yoga, the teachings. And I started to go to workshops and retreats and started to dig in. And then I finally took yoga teacher training and really started to study the philosophy of yoga and the teachings there. And that's where I started to unpack a lot of things that helped me to address my anxiety and my depression, as well as addictions. And I got down to like, what is the root of these things? And it was through a spiritual practice that helped me to get to the root of those things. And then not just understanding things cerebrally, but actually shifting my lifestyle so that it's a lived embodiment of that new way. So Sacred and Circular hit me again last year and was like, all of it just revealed itself to me. It's supposed to be a book. It wants to be a podcast someday.
Excellent.
And the book is about the convergence of sustainability and spirituality. These two worlds for me were living parallel and separate. But now all of a sudden what I'm realizing and seeing so clearly is that to make the shift and change that we need to see in this world to address the climate crisis, we have to change the way in which we as humans are functioning and operating.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait for you to see. We're about to post Michelle's episode.
Michelle Frey?
No.
Oh.
Michelle Lee.
Oh.
Her whole focus is on that we have to do the inner work to have the outward.
That's right. The inner work and the outer
change.
work.
So,
I need to meet her. Yay.
She's amazing.
And then I'll have her on my podcast.
Perfect.
Great.
You can film it here.
Okay, thanks. That's great. I'm super excited. And the book, once it revealed itself, I just started writing. So I've been writing for the last 12 months.
Incredible.
And I'm also taking a shared kind of common language, which might seem a little woo-woo and out there, but I'm following astrology because I've also, in part of my spiritual practice, been a diehard learning astrologer.
Awesome.
And I'm following the archetypes of astrology, and I'm trying to stay present in the moment of the season. And what is the lessons that come along with that season?
Yeah.
And do a lot of listening and witnessing and seeing that archetype and how it wants to show up. And then reflecting on, that's so connected to this lesson I had in my own life, on my own journey of growth. So how can that translate, not just so we understand it, again, cerebrally, but like what did that lived experience feel and look like as a tangible example?
So you're using astrology and the seasons as an opportunity to reflect.
To reflect and tell the story of evolution of how do we get to a place of merging spirituality and sustainability towards kind of the new earth paradigm shift.
Yeah. I did a training that was all about the seasons of ourselves.
Yeah.
There was a trainer, I think her company was called Taproot. She was in St. Louis.
I have her book.
Amazing.
Yeah. I haven't opened it yet. It's sitting on my bedside table, which means I will now open it.
It's great.
Yes.
I mean, I haven't read the book.
Yeah.
But I did I did like a full day training with her. And it was fantastic.
I was so impressed by her that I was like, I bought it immediately, but I haven't read it yet. Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
Can I just say, the last thing about the book that I will say is that I've been writing for 12 months. But because I've been present with every season throughout the whole year,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm in a phase of like editing. So what I decided after collaborating with some other authors is to publish on Substack.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm doing right now is each chapter is coming out on Substack with the seasons for this next whole year.
Oh, I love that.
So I've just done the first 3 publications for the introduction.
Uh-huh.
And then with the spring equinox next week comes
Mm-hmm.
the introduction to Aries season.
Fantastic.
And I will be writing for the next whole 12 months. And so I'll be editing the work that I've done to prepare. And then the book will plan to come out next spring.
I love that.
So you can follow along on Substack for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your handles,
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, like how can people find you?
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you wanted to share that we didn't touch on yet?
Yeah. Handles are at Sacred and Circular, AND, and Instagram and on Substack. So those are probably the best places to find me at the moment. But you can also find me on LinkedIn, just professionally under my name, Megan White. Yeah, I'd love people to join along on the journey. I'm really excited about it.
I'm really excited too.
Yeah.
We should link to it. And I want to read it.
I'm just excited. We have a bunch of collaborations that are coming up. You and I were working on a event that's coming out soon that's focusing on women in climate
Yes.
and their superpowers of
Yes.
what makes us so relevant to this moment. So thank you for being an amazing collaborator.
I've got my Wonder Woman costume ready.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I love it. I might have to borrow the cape from my son.
Fair.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I love that.
It's been so great collaborating with you.
It has been so great.
And I know there's
And
so much
so many
more to come.
people have like entered into the orbit that are
Yeah.
just amazing humans.
Yeah. I didn't mention being on the board, new board member of the USGBC California, which has also been super exciting. The unification of the chapters and the amazing work that's happening across that organization. There's so much I could talk on, which we don't have time for, but I just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Just so proud of that group, and it's just an honor to be a part of it and amplify amazing programs, whether it's on wildlife restoration and addressing wildfire restoration, or environmental justice projects, or workforce development
Yep.
in this space. It's an amazing organization for the state of California that's doing a lot of incredible work. So I'm so honored to join their board with a ton of events, and a lot of them are going to be here at Trellis. So
Yay.
love to have you as a hub.
I love partnering with the USGBC to do events. They're just like some of the best events we've ever had.
Yeah. Good partnership.
So that's that for episode number 5 with Megan White. I am your host, Rebecca Pan. You can find me on LinkedIn at Rebecca Bryan Pan, and on Instagram as R Bryan. Trellis, you can find our handle is Trellis Workspace on Insta. But I also want to thank my production producer, Marcela Avramescu, for making this all possible. Thanks for watching.